The conventional definition of management is getting work done through people, but real management is developing people through work. On that note, I, Dr. Nidhi Srivastava, Associate Professor, IIEPM, welcome you all for another interesting session of IIEPM's induction program of 21st Batch Ignite 2020. So by now, you already know the flow of this session. Session will be of an hour. First 40 minutes will be the knowledge sharing by the guest. And next 20 minutes, that is the last 20 minutes, will be for question and answer. The questions you can type during the session in the chat box that will be addressed towards the end of the session. Steve Jobs had said once that the most precious thing that we all have with us is time. And trust me, it becomes even more precious when we have the opportunity to learn from the eminent Professor Sundeep Bedi. It gives me immense pleasure and honor to introduce Sir. He's full of life and inspires people with his contagious positive attitude. Professor Bedi is an honorary adjunct professor of environmental economics at Department of Environmental Sciences, Savitribai Phule Pune University. Professor Bedi is the founder director at Knowaysys Consulting Solution Private Limited and Chief Economist Managing Principal, Intellectual Asset Management, and co-founder director, Intellectual Foundation Endowment, a social innovation enterprise. Professor Bedi has over 25 years of professional performance experience. He started his career with Parallel Track Inc., a logistics solution provider, and later moved to Microware Consulting and Training Center. He has been working with Knowaysys Group ever since its inception in March 2001. In addition to his official roles, Professor Bedi has also worked as a consultant, rendering his advisory services in the areas of financial management, environment economics, fiscal policy development, political analysis and electoral prediction services, socio-economic policy analysis with several Fortune 500 companies, Indian corporates, multilateral financial institutions, startups, and government agencies. He has been involved with socio-economic studies and budget analysis for the last 25 years. He acquired his budget analysis skills from the eminent jurist and budget commentator, the late Dr. Nani Kalkiwala. He is also a freelance journalist with published titles in Times of India, Maharashtra Herald, Sakal Times, and www.intellectualpost.com. Moreover, he is the recipient of the prestigious FIE Foundation Award for his pioneering contribution in the field of accessibility computing, that is, for the development of Indian language speech synthesizer, a braille data entry system, and obstacle detector prototype for the benefit of the visually challenged. He believes that disability can be noticed, but ability must be recognized. Professor Sundeep Bedi is the chief editorial architect of www.intellectualpost.com, an online newspaper. He is also the founder and chief economist at Wealth Ministry and Investor Empowerment Service, www.wealthministry.org. He has served as a visiting professor of economics and finance at various prestigious institutes in Pune. Professor Bedi has successfully delivered highly impactful and result-oriented management training programs in companies and organizations such as Wipro, LG, NTPC, Hindustan Unilever, to name a few. So, without taking much time, let us start the session. And like the IIEBM baby say, let knowledge prevail. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nidhi, and good evening to all of you. It's enormous honor, and we don't have words enough to thank Dr. Nikam and Dr. Nidhi and my friends Jay Marwa at IIEBM and Colonel Marwa and the entire Marwa family. I just recalled I did a session a few weeks ago with IIM Calcutta on a similar, it was a similar web experience. And the faculty who introduced me had in her backdrop a quotation which said that what is a privilege for a lecturer is equal to the pain for the listener. And at the bottom of that quotation, it said, your pain share is 45 minutes. So I hope that the next 45 minutes are not very painful. And I'm going to be talking about the current economic times that we live in the backdrop of, or in the context of, the managerial aspects in a fluctuating economy, or building management careers in challenging times. These are different and difficult times, as all of you will agree with me. And I hope you all don't mind if I'm a little multilingual, that I introduce some Hindi in my conversations, so that I hope, Dr. Nidhi, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
So I will break out into Hindi, and for anyone who doesn't understand Hindi, you can learn Hindi so that you could probably enjoy the Hindi bits the next time you listen to me. I have been interacting with a lot of parents and a lot of students in the last 3 months when we have been going through this lockdown. And one of the things that I have noticed is that there is a lot of confusion and a lot of uncertainty where when it comes to whether and when academic sessions will start this year, and for those who are in final years, when and whether their examinations will take place, and so on and so forth. The government we have has actually done everything in its power to further increase this confusion by not at all delivering any clarity on this subject. So in this kind of a scenario where final year exams are in doubt and parents are wondering whether I should, take my precious children into an institution for pursuing. In our case, it's a MBA equivalent PGDM program. The obvious question which will arise is whether we should, is this the right time to pursue management education? I will answer this question, or attempt to do so, a little later. Turning to my topic, it is as if, and I'm really surprised, the impression one gets is that it is for the first time that the world is facing a crisis like this. Yes, it is true that for us, this is the first time that we have seen pandemic of this size and scale or proportion. और मुश्किल ये होती है कि जो चीजें आपने पहले कभी देखी नहीं है, या जिनके बारे में आपने कभी सोचा नहीं है, हम सबको ऐसे लगता है कि ये मुश्किलें जो हैं वो सबसे बड़ी मुश्किल है, और इससे ज्यादा और इससे आगे कोई मुश्किल हो नहीं सकती. I think that is the principal mistake that we commit when we try to tackle crisis. So I'm essentially, when I'm talking about managerial issues in a fluctuating economy, this topic has been given to me because I'm basically an economist and a lawyer. I'm trained as a lawyer, and I also, with my partner Nitin Moite, run a technology company. So I have the advantage of being in the world's 3 worst professions, that of being a technologist, a lawyer, and an economist. And believe you me, it cannot get worse than this. Because if you see, all the problems in this world are created by these 3 people, namely the wakils, the economists, and the technologists. Of course, managers and doctors have also created enough problems, but this is not the platform to talk about that, because it was not long ago when Modi ji ne humko kaha ki aap thali bajao, tali bajao, diye jalao for doctors. So I think हम डॉक्टर्स को इस सेशन से बाहर रखेंगे क्योंकि वो बहुत उनमें से कुछ बहुत ही अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं और बहुत सारे डॉक्टर्स घर पे बैठे हैं और शायद आपके और हमारी तरह कोई वेबिनार अटेंड कर रहे हैं, पेशेंट्स को ट्रीट नहीं कर रहे हैं. और उनका ये करने का कारण ये है कि वो उसी बीमारी से अफेक्टेड है जिनसे हम यहाँ इस देश में और इस दुनिया में करोड़ों लोग अफेक्टेड है. वो बीमारी का नाम है डर. And I like what Rajiv Bajaj said on the topic. He said that the problem is not the virus, the problem is the fear, right? So it is the fear which I think has created more of a crisis than the virus itself. I'm not trying to underplay the virus. I'm not trying to say that COVID-19 or corona or the novel coronavirus is not a big issue. It is a big issue. Of course it is. It is something that is taken, in the case of many people, near and dear ones, away forever. And it is an issue that has to be dealt with in a serious manner. We cannot afford to lose sight of the fact that we are fighting a virus, which is new virus, a treatment for which is not available. Vaccines are still some time away, although Mr. Modi is trying to expedite the vaccine. And you've seen how Bharat Biotech, Hyderabad-based company, was pressurized by the Indian Council of Medical Research to come up with a vaccine by 15th of August, so that probably from the Red Fort, our Prime Minister could probably, administer the vaccine to himself and everyone on Red Fort on that day. I don't think that's going to happen because of the science. Although if it happens, it's good, because if that vaccine works, at least, everyone will get back to work and things will be normal. So the biggest managerial challenge that I think all of us are facing in this, these times, is the challenge pertaining to decision making. And I think the decision challenge is very obvious. We are all facing it, whether it is Donald Trump in the US or Narendra Modi in Delhi or Uddhav Thackeray here in Mumbai. So I'm talking to you from Maharashtra. You will be in different states of the country. You know your respective leaders. They are elected to manage situations, problems, crises, and provide us solutions, right? Our elected managers, as I call them, these are leaders, of course, are currently finding themselves in a bit of a lost state because they are unable to decide on what is the right course of action or what needs to be done. And as a result of this, you see that there is a lockdown today, there is an opening up tomorrow, there is an unlock day after, then there is a re-lockdown, and this entire cycle of locking down, locking up, locking out, locking in, and then again unlocking is just an indication of how difficult it gets to deal with situations when you are completely unaware of what I like to call this entire area or field, which is called decision science. And I think what management careers do is they build you into good decision scientists. I'm not paid to be a brand ambassador for IIEBM, so whatever I am saying is completely an autonomous view. I have no vested interest in this argument that I placed before you, but the point is this, that in the last 20 years that I have been associated with the promoters of IIEBM, that is the Marwa family, and the IIEBM or the Indus Business School, I have seen enormous amount of commitment, dedication, discipline, and a great deal on focus on what I like to call change management. So this was the first B school, I believe, in Asia, which started a master's program in e-business administration when e-business and e-commerce was in pre-infant stage. But जब उसका जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था और जन्म हो रहा था, the mother was in what they say in gynecological terms, labor room or delivery room, and all the gynecologists of the e-commerce world, Mr. Jeff Bezos, Dr. Jeff Bezos, who gave birth to Amazon, and in our country, people like Sachin and Benny Bansal, who gave birth to Flipkart, and Mr. Jack Ma. He's one of the fathers of this e-commerce revolution, the man who brought to this world a website called Alibaba. It's a Chinese website. Nobody wants to talk about China. Big problem. That's your problem, not mine. I think these are all fathers of the web commerce revolution. I don't know who's the mother. I'm a little confused. So that's not my topic. So the issue is that in that time, in those times, the early 2000, IIBM pioneered e-business administration studies. They have over the years moved on, taken on studies in the area of leadership development, and they have kept up up to date and up to times with introducing new topics in the area of finance, marketing, operations, management, and of course, HR. And so I believe that this B school is specially gifted with capacity to develop students in a way that they become relevant to the corporate world. And so it's been a very happy journey for me to be associated with IIBM and Indus Business School. I think decision science is something which is taken seriously here. We teach it with the commitment and the capability which this requires, because a lot of industry faculty comes and shares gyan with the students. You get to build networks, you get to collaborate. Students from all walks of life and all states of India are here. So that's another advantage. I think diversity is granted, discipline is guaranteed, because after all, the man who promoted this is a retired army officer. So that has its benefits. It also has its few disadvantages, which I will discuss offline with you when we are on campus and we meet you. But Colonel Marwa has been a great inspiration and enormous influence on this institution, at least when it comes to discipline building. And so this is where I think the team at IIBM and Jay's work is something which I have personally believe adds a lot of value. In addition to decision science, another issue which I think is really relevant today is this, what I call, the geo factor. It is about staying alive and staying competitive. Of course, the only company in India which seems to be raising money from the overseas investors is also Reliance Jio, right? So I think if you want to have longevity, when I talk about Jio, I'm talking about technology actually. The importance of understanding, internalizing, and putting yourself in a technological or techno-managerial role. I think that, those skill sets are naturally imparted here at this B school in Pune. And I think that is a valid reason why you should, look at or look forward to being a part of this experience. Technology and decision sciences or decision making being two issues. The third issue is, I think, in today's world, what really will keep you relevant, important, valuable, useful for your employers in the next 30 years. So please remember, what you're doing now is basically preparing yourself for the next 3 to 4 decades. This is a 30-40 saal ka game. You're not looking at the next year, the next 2 years. So what is it that in the next 30 to 40 years will prove to be the sound footing or the sound platform on which you can stand and build a career in spite of the challenges and the so this is 2020 is not the last year in which you will have difficult circumstances and tough times. We are going to have many more such cycles and where the economy will go for a toss, where you'll have a health crisis, where you'll probably have a lot of scenarios where managers will have to play a critical role in, shaping the future and making this world a better place to live in. So what are those challenges and how do you address those problems? Let's talk about them briefly. I think the skill set question, jahan tak hai, mere khayal se analytics is the key driver which will make you thrive in the times to come. So your capacity to understand, analyze, visualize, interpret, anticipate situations, issues, scenarios, build solutions. So solutions are built not by dumb people. They are neither built by dumb people. There used to be this very interesting chap. His name is Charles Wong. He ran a very, very successful and powerful computer company called Computer Associates. It's an information technology company. But remember, before the year 2000, this field was called just computers, right? Computer science or computer engineering. So Computer Associates is a company that Charles Wong ran, and Charles Wong has a very important, interesting quote which has stuck with me. Charles said that it's not the intelligent people who build solutions, nor is it the dumb people. Solutions are built by analysts. So you have to understand, anticipate, and as I said earlier, interpret, basically, view and review alternatives and have the capacity to, take an informed next step, right? तो ये जो स्किल सेट है, ये आपको एक पावरफुल प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन के बाद मिलेगा. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन में ही ये सब मिलता है. आप एक फिलोसोफर होके भी ये सब कर सकते हैं, एक इकोनॉमिस्ट होके भी कर सकते हैं. ऑल्दो मुझे बहुत कम इकोनॉमिस्ट मिले हैं जिन्होंने कोई ऐसा दुनिया को हिलाने वाला काम किया हो. जनरली इकोनॉमिस्ट बहुत ही बोरिंग किस्म के लोग होते हैं जो अपना बहुत सारा समय खुद पैसा बनाने में लगाते हैं और मेरे ख्याल से दुनिया से उनका कोई खास लेना देना होता नहीं है. लेकिन ये मेरी अपने प्रोफेशन के बारे में राय है और काफी इकोनॉमिस्ट मुझसे एग्री नहीं करते. और टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट के बारे में भी मेरी यही राय है कि टेक्नोलॉजी दुनिया के बहुत सी दुनिया की जो समस्याएं हैं, जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, उनको सॉल्व करने की क्षमता तो रखती है, लेकिन जितना टेक्नोलॉजी दुनिया के लिए कर सकती थी उतनी की नहीं है उतना उन्होंने. और इसका प्रूफ ये है कि आज हम सब व्हाट्सएप और इंस्टाग्राम और फेसबुक और मोबाइल फोन्स के गुलाम बन गए हैं. एंड दिस स्लेवरी आई डोंट थिंक इज एडिंग टू प्रोडक्टिविटी. इट इज नॉट इवन एडिंग टू नॉलेज और विजडम. इट इज एडिंग टू इंफॉर्मेशन एंड वीडियो फॉर्मेशन. So video formation and information are not very good. It's like, just to give you an example, if you're a young boy and you have an information that 2 streets away there's the world's most beautiful young lady living, that information is of no use to you because that young lady has and doesn't care 2 hoots about you. And she should not, because you've not completed your MBA as yet. So it's why should she care? Right. So similarly, if a young lady has an information, for instance, that let's say Ranveer Kapoor is, staying in a particular place in Mumbai, that information is of no use because that information is also available to Alia Bhatt. So how does it help this young lady, right? So please don't be under this illusion that because I'm well informed, I'm going to have a lot of prosperity. Why are we educating ourselves? I think there are only two reasons. One, we want to become prosperous, and the second reason is we want to become good human beings, so that whatever prosperity I earn, some of it I can at least gift it away so that other people around me become prosperous. That I think should be the goal of educating ourselves, whether you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a manager, an executive, or whatever, a truck driver. So I think this is it. I feel emphasis on analytics, developing understanding, and these are going to be very, very important areas of where young people like you can contribute. I must confess कि हमारी जो generation है वो दुनिया को बदलने में और दुनिया को सुधारने की जो कोशिश जो हमने की वो कामयाब नहीं हुई, वी हैव फेल्ड। और अब आपकी ये जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि आप ये कोशिश करें कि आप इस प्लैनेट को कैसे सेफर और बेटर बना सके, आप इन्वायरमेंट का कैसा एज अ मैनेजर ख्याल रख सकें। बेसिकली आप ट्रस्टीज हैं इस प्लैनेट के, इस सोलर सिस्टम के, इस कॉस्मोस के, इस दुनिया के। हम जो है हमारी जो जनरेशन है ट्रस्टीज तो दूर, वो कंप्लीटली अनट्रस्टवर्दी जनरेशन है जो काफी नाकाबिल रही है और नाकामयाब रही है अपनी इस कोशिश में कि हम कुछ कर सकें। ये बोलने की हिम्मत शायद बहुत कम लोगों में है, but I sincerely feel this, and I think you all have to work hard to do things in a manner that you don't repeat the mistakes that we have made. So Dr. Nidhi, how am I running on time?
Yes, sir. We have 10 more minutes to go.
10 minutes.
And then question answers.
Yes, thank you. So the reason why I asked this question to Dr. Nidhi was that when I used to be in college, the college principal had to hire very strong men, who had a gunda reputation, who would come and silence me in the middle of a elocution competition because I always exceeded the time allotted to me. And in spite of that, I would unfortunately win those elocution competitions. So the judges had this impression that the participants had an impression that, judges were partial to me. Some even used to say that these debates were fixed. Of course, I don't know how they could be fixed because I had no money. I was a fakir in those days. I'm a fakir even today, although my liwas has changed. So today's fakirs are, they are dressed better. I was talking to you about the features of a good manager, right? I spoke about decision-making, technology, analytics. The fourth feature I feel which a manager or an executive, or I hope some of you will go on to become entrepreneurs, which they should inculcate. And I already hinted towards that quality, and that is sensitivity. जो संवेदनशीलता है, जो जिसकी मेरे ख्याल से बहुत ज़रूरत है, जो बहुत शॉर्ट सप्लाई में है, जिसकी बहुत शॉर्टेज है, that I think is very, very important. I feel we have seen it in the last few days, last few months, जिस तरह हमने migrant labor को handle किया, जिस तरह जब जो करीब 5 से 8 करोड़ लोग शहरों से अपने अपने गांव की तरफ गए और जिस तरह मीडिया ने उसको एक एंटरटेनमेंट की तरह पेश किया, I think this was the biggest tragedy. This conversion of a crisis, of a monumental crisis into an entertainment show, I think my biggest problem was that the central and the state governments allowed, in the absence of general entertainment channels, GECs. So आपको पता है कि Star Plus and Colors and Sony and Z were not showing you new programming because shooting नहीं हो सक रही थी due to COVID. I think उसको सब्स्टिट्यूट करने के लिए हमारे न्यूज चैनल्स ने अपने आप को जनरल एंटरटेनमेंट चैनल्स या GECs बना दिया. एंड आई थिंक इससे मीडिया एज एन इंडस्ट्री का मजाक तो उड़ा ही, लेकिन देश का भी मजाक उड़ा और आपने बेसिकली ह्यूमन लाइफ को भी बहुत डीवैल्यू कर दिया. आप अगर कहेंगे कि पॉलिटिशियंस को इसकी परवाह क्यों नहीं है, मुझे इस सवाल का जवाब नहीं देना, क्योंकि मुझे ये पक्का विश्वास है, ये I say it with complete confidence that I don't think politicians are interested in people and their problems. Politicians are a race to themselves. They belong to a DNA which only makes them conducive to capture power, hold on to power, and then again call elections so that they can again capture power and hold on to power. They are not interested in solving your and my problems. They are not interested in solving economic, addressing economic issues. So, और उनसे ये उम्मीद करना भी मेरे ख्याल से एजुकेटेड लोगों की सबसे बड़ी भूल और बेवकूफ़ी भी है. और ये भूल और बेवकूफ़ी मेरे पेरेंट्स के जनरेशन ने भी की, और मैं भी कर रहा हूँ, और हमारे पेरेंट्स के जनरेशन, और हम में यही मेरे ख्याल से एक कॉमन फैक्टर है कि हम ये समझते हैं कि कोई 56 इंच की छाती लेके हमारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सकता है, या कोई बहुत ही वीक सा आदमी या दुर्बल सा आदमी, क्योंकि वो वीक और मॉडेस्ट है, वो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करता है. मेरे ख्याल से आदमी की chest size कुछ भी हो, whatever be the chest size, I don't think anyone is inclined to solve anyone's problem. They are only their DNA tells them to only do one thing and solve one problem, and that is the power problem. So to solve the power problem, they will say रात को 9 बजे 10 मिनट के लिए blackout कर दो, power down. So these are pathetic people who have no sense of country. They have no sense of the world. They are self-servicing, set of, I would say, antisocial animals. And I'm talking about politicians. I'm not talking about any political party. So don't expect solutions for them. So then who will solve the problems? We have completely pathetic governance. We have no governance. And in this situation, the problems will be resolved by those who are facing those problems, people like you and me, right? So I will quickly give you, as I have very less time, how people have managed to solve problems. In Pune, where IIEDM is there, we have a movement. It is called Sagar Mitra. Sagar Mitra, what we do is we have school children from standard 4th to 9th and even 10th in some cases. They collect plastic from their home and they bring it to school. Every month, Sagar Mitra sends a vehicle to collect this plastic and dispose it of responsibly. So we convert this plastic into fuel, we make pots out of it, so on and so forth. We want to ensure that this plastic does not reach the ocean, does not reach the rivers, does not reach the lakes, so that it does not pollute these water bodies. This movement started in 2013. We now have 150,000 children who collect plastic day after day, week after week, month after month. They've been doing it for 7 years. 150,000 children in 1,200 schools in Pune, in Solapur, in Kolhapur. And what this means is that each family, if you say there are 4 people, we have been able to change 6 lakh lives, because they have now become sensitive to environment, and we are trying to solve this plastic menace with the help of children. And this is a movement which by next year, this time, COVID or no COVID, I'm very confident we'll grow our number of children who will collect plastic and dispose it off responsibly. With Sagar Mitra, this number will grow to 6 lakh. 24 lakh Indians will be, because each person, so our parents are very funny people. उनको अगर आपने बोला कि यार ये काम करने से मुझे मार्क मिलने वाले हैं, फिर they become interested. अगर आप उनको बोलो ना कि मैं प्लास्टिक या डिस्ट्रो, they say who cares. So what we did, we went to the Directorate of Education and the Education Minister, and we said, you make this change in the syllabus and in the curriculum, and you ask the schools to give marks for people, for pupils or children who collect plastic. जब मार्क मिलने लगे ना, तो पेरेंट्स अपने, आई नो ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स अपने कंपनीज में लोगों को बोले, अरे तुम अपने घर से, प्लास्टिक दो, बिकॉज नाउ कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस इज इम्प्रूव, कि मेरा बच्चा सबसे ज्यादा प्लास्टिक कलेक्ट करेगा तो उसको ज्यादा मार्क मिलेंगे, उसको ट्रॉफी मिलेगी. सो दिस इज द इंसेंटिव, राइट? सो दिस इज हाउ पेरेंट्स रिएक्ट. द second example is relating to the NGO with which my wife is associated, the National Federation of the Blind Maharashtra. We run a blind school in Pune called the Jagriti School for Blind Girls at Alandi. Now, that has 110 students from standard 1 to 10. And in this blind school, for the last 23 years, we have had 100% results at the board level, that is the 10th standard level, SSC board level. None of our kids have failed. We've got girls who are blind, who come from very poor blind families. That's not the point. The point is when the COVID crisis broke and Mr. Modi said कि 4 घंटे के अंदर अगर तुम बाहर निकले तो तुमको गोली मार दूंगा types, you know, he came with that, lockdown call on the 24th of March, and he gave you 4 hours. The biggest problem was that blind people all over the country, and especially in Maharashtra, everywhere, many of them are people जिनकी daily income is equal to daily expenditure. वो daily wages पे काम करते हैं, वो खिलौने बेचते हैं, वो music performers हैं, वो beggars भी हैं. आपका begging पे भी अगर कोई राय है तो मैं आपको एक बात सिर्फ विनम्रता से एक बात कहना चाहूंगा कि भीख मांगने के ऊपर और भिखारियों के ऊपर अगर आपकी कोई तीव्र राय है तो वो आप मुझसे शेयर कीजिए. बट एक बात याद रखिएगा कि दुनिया के सबसे बड़े और सबसे फेमस भिखारी थे जिनका नाम था गौतम बुद्धा. उन्होंने ये प्रैक्टिस को रिस्पेक्टेबिलिटी दी. तो बेगिंग भी एक मेरे हिसाब से बहुत डिसरिस्पेक्टफुल प्रोफेशन नहीं है, ऑल्दो इसके बारे में इकोनॉमिस्ट और आप सबकी अलग अलग राय हो सकती है. बट प्लीज रिमेंबर, मिस्टर बुद्धा वाज द वर्ल्ड्स फर्स्ट प्रोफेशनल बेगर, and don't tell me that Buddha was wrong and he was less bright than all of us. So what we said was that, look, how do we address this problem? Because their income of these blind people is zero. In the last 3 months, we have identified 1150 families in Pune, Sholapur, Kolhapur, Amravati, Mumbai, Thane, Nagpur, and we have given them rations for 3 months in a row, each family getting rations of about dry rations of about 1,000 rupees per month. The organization has spent about, and we've been giving them medical assistance, financial assistance. So we've already spent about 32 lakhs, which we have raised from donors. People come forward to contribute to a cause. They assist, they help, they are sensitive. Government has given not a single rupee for this cause because they say they have no money, right? In Maharashtra, of course, we have a lot of money to buy vehicles, luxury vehicles for ministers and their secretaries. In Mumbai, you can read details. This has happened in the last 2 months. Details are available in newspaper articles. जो आप पढ़ सकते हैं. India is a funny country. There is a lot of humor in this country. Do not get discouraged and frustrated. We have a very bright future. Don't get so angry in life. Pakistan and China are not our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is the fact that we don't have good people governing us. And that, I think, is a problem which you can solve by thinking better, voting better, and becoming rich and becoming good managers. On the issue, one last minute on this ये साल एडमिशन ले कि नेक्स्ट ईयर एडमिशन ले? The answer is very simple. Time wasted is wasted forever, right? If you waste a year, you will waste it forever. And our forecast at the Intellectual Asset Management's Economic Research Unit is that 2022 will be the year in which hiring and recruitment in the executive space will be at its highest. We think recruitment trends will begin to turn by January 2021, and by May, June, July, August, that is the first half of 2022, placement scene will be the hottest in India. If you get admitted to a master's program in management or an MBA today, you get your exit in 22. That should be the right time for you to approach the job market with the right set of skills. If you enter the job market in 2023, which will be the case if you admit yourself in 2021, two things will happen. One, you would have delayed your entry into the job market by 1 year and missed out on some of the opportunities which will come up in 2022. Secondly, you would have lost one precious year of your life, and you would have lost the opportunity to early acquire knowledge and wisdom which you would get, and that would give you an initial, what you say, lead, or it will help you to put your fast foot forward. And I would simply appeal to you, don't make the mistake of accepting being illogical as a way of life. Turn to logic, be rational, सही सोचिए और ठीक से सोचिए और fear को थोड़ा सा अपने से दूर रखिए. You are young people, nothing will go wrong, and please educate yourself and your parents also that if you are filled with fear, that is the end of life. I repeat, if you're filled with fear, that is the end of life. These are not my lines. This is what Plato said 2,500 years ago. Plato was right then. Plato is right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very informative session, especially as far as this fluctuating situation is there. So, sir, I have received a number of questions. The first question is, what is your opinion on boycotting Chinese products?
My opinion on boycotting Chinese products is straightforward. Paytm is owned by Chinese investors. So stop using Paytm. BigBasket.com is not owned by Shah Rukh Khan. It is owned by Chinese investors. So stop using BigBasket.com. Ola is owned by Chinese investors, and 97.5% of the phones used in India, mobile, are owned by Chinese producers. They're manufactured by Chinese manufacturers. The Communist Party of India is funded by China. The Rajiv Gandhi Foundation has taken money from China. The Bharatiya Janata Party funded trusts have also got money from China. Mr. Narendra Modi has visited China he's visited them 18 times. I think 12 or 13 of those visits were when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. I think this is a whole lot of rubbish. We cannot live without China. Chinese economy is 5 times bigger than India, the Indian economy. China is today a military and strategic superpower. Mr. Modi loves China. Mr. Modi also loves Japan. Japan hates China. China hates Japan, but China and Japan do business with each other. And there has been no boycott call ever from the Japanese or the Chinese to boycott each other's products. Mr. Trump also has, if you read John Bolton's memoirs, which have just come out, John Bolton was the national security advisor to Donald Trump in the early stages of his presidency. What Bolton says, कि ट्रंप ने शी जिनपिंग को बोला था कि आप मेरी मदद करो ऐसी तरह इस तरह से कि मैं 2020 का इलेक्शन यूएस में जीत जाऊं एंड देन वी विल सिट डाउन एंड डू बिजनेस. ये बोल्टन कहता है, राइट? बोल्टन वाज वेरी क्लोज टू मिस्टर ट्रंप. He has also arranged some girlfriends for Mr. Trump. So I think Bolton has good reason to tell the truth, right? Not because he's arranged those girlfriends for Mr. Trump, but because I think he was very close. He was an Oval Office man. He was part of the White House. So ये China boycott वगैरह करने की बात बिल्कुल बकवास है. I think what we need to do is strengthen our armed forces, strengthen our resolve to become a superpower ourselves, strengthen our internal capacities, work on fields like artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, data science, and get technological superiority. इससे हम चाइना को पीछे छोड़ सकते हैं, न कि चाइनीज प्रोडक्ट्स बाइकआउट करके. चाइनीज प्रोडक्ट्स बाइकआउट करें तो आप फोन कहाँ से लाओगे? और और एक और लास्ट पॉइंट, आपको पता है इस देश में सिगरेट लाइटर्स हम मैन्युफैक्चर नहीं करते. और रीजन क्या दिया जाता है कि वो जो चाइनीज सिगरेट लाइटर है ना, वो 10 रुपए में आता है. आई मीन वी आर अ सेट ऑफ स्टूपिड पीपल. आई एम सेइंग you know this country has the world's largest cigarette smoking population. आप 25 रुपए में मैन्युफैक्चर करके सिगरेट लाइटर बेचिए ना, लाइए तो सही. तो ये आई थिंक दिस इज नॉनसेंस. ये लोगों को बेवकूफ बनाने वाली बात है. और अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे जवान, हमारे ऑफिसर्स जो आर्म फोर्सेस में काम करते हैं, उनका खून इतना सस्ता कर दिया इन पॉलिटिशियंस ने कि वो हम भाग देते हैं और हमको कोई दुख नहीं होता. हम उसको भी एक जनरल एंटरटेनमेंट आइटम बना देते हैं. ये आई थिंक सबसे बड़ी दुख की बात है इस देश की. We have converted everything into entertainment, including martyrdom of our armed forces personnel. Nothing can be more insulting to a country than this.
Right. Okay, so the next question that I have received is, what are the challenges for companies in hiring of local workers because of these flocking of migrant workers? The situation that we have seen.
I think this is a very, very good question. I think there is a serious problem that we are facing in industrial areas. Here, I'm aware of Pune, Mumbai, and I'm aware of Gujarat. And I'm also aware of situation in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. These places, I have personal knowledge of where my friends are facing these problems. I think we will have to resort to giving incentives to migrant labor to come back, and that will result in increased cost of manufacturing and cost of production. Unfortunately, that will make us more uncompetitive. So again, as we think, that everyone will shut their factories in China and come and open them in India, the problem is that this is a country where the only that we have genuinely is the cost of labor. Now, if that cost of labor is going to increase because of factors like labor migration, I don't want to call them migrant labor. वो हमारे ही देश के लोग हैं, अपने ही आपको डोनाल्ड ट्रंप माइग्रेंट कहे तो मैं समझ सकता हूँ कि आप यूएस में. ये कहाँ की जस्टिस है भाई कि आप अब आप मुझे बताइए, अगर आप IIBM में उड़ीसा से, आंध्र प्रदेश से, राजस्थान से, बंगाल से, उत्तर प्रदेश, मध्य प्रदेश और छत्तीसगढ़ से अगर आप IIBM में आते तो आप क्या पुणे में माइग्रेंट हो जाते हैं क्या? ये माइग्रेंट शब्द को तो हटा देना चाहिए. ये लेबर का जो मूवमेंट हुआ है, मेरे ख्याल से ये इट्स अ वेरी डिस्टर्बिंग ट्रेंड, disturbing that it makes us uncompetitive. The challenge is that the costs will go up. Ultimately, those people from rural areas will come back because the root causes for why they left their villages and came to Mumbai, came to Surat, came to Bangalore, the root causes are still there. The root cause is poverty. That has not gone away. The COVID will go away. These people will come back, and but currently the issue is that labor is not there, but demand is also not there. Demand has completely collapsed. So the bigger challenge for industry today is कि हम demand को कैसे revive करें.
Right. Right. So the next question is, what are the entrepreneurship opportunities for new generation?
Oh, this is a question which will demand one more session. I really don't know how I can answer it in 30 seconds, but let me try. I think, first of all, when we talk of artificial intelligence, I had met a Chinese scholar at the Pune University when we had organized a conference on machine learning and artificial intelligence last year. He was a Harvard and Stanford and MIT trained specialist in machine learning and artificial intelligence, Dr. Son. He works with Huawei, and Huawei is a bad word in China, and I mean in the US, and India is also, I think, thinking of throwing them out of a 5G trial. So Dr. Son told me one interesting thing when we were having lunch. He said, India is making the same mistake which US has made when it comes to artificial intelligence. And I asked him, sir, what is that mistake? He said, in China, we look at artificial intelligence and AI as not AI, but NI. NI standing for natural intelligence. He says, what we are doing is we are just trying to make machines human compatible. So we are trying to provide machines by programming what we know as natural intelligence. So we are bringing intelligent machines into the world. Intelligent computers, intelligent conveyor belts, intelligent sensors, thermometers. He says the Americans focus so much on the word artificial that they will never take the lead in this space, because this is all about programming natural languages and natural intelligence in machines. I think the most important part here is that there's nothing artificial about artificial intelligence. We don't seem to be understanding that. That's why today the undisputed leader in the world when it comes to machine learning, artificial intelligence, and applications of AI and ML are the Chinese. There is no debate on this. There cannot be. The Americans and the Europeans are way behind. These standards relating to AI and ML are being authored by the Chinese today. So, and please don't misunderstand me. I'm not a fan of China. I'm not a fan of China. I have no affection to China. I don't take 1 rupee from China. I don't have a trust which takes money from the Chinese government. Yeah, that you go and ask your bloody politicians. Why? Huh? These all. I call them salesmen. These guys. You ask them. As far as I'm concerned, I think we need to invest. So you can become a great entrepreneur in the area of artificial intelligence, machine learning, coming up with new generation solutions in the technology space, in the non-technology space, service areas, right? Why can't you come up with an app? After all, I think it's about time that we Ola or Uber ko bye-bye bol dein and tell them, yeah, ban them. In fact, 59 apps inhone jo ban ki. I think they should have added 2 more apps to that, Ola and Uber. उसका एक फायदा कि आप में से 2 लोग ओला और उबर जैसे एप्स डेवलप करते हैं. आफ्टर ऑल उनको वो ऐप डेवलप करने के लिए मेरे ख्याल से 20-22 दिन लगते हैं. So why can't we develop such a taxi aggregator app? Why Mr. Modi is not coming up with a policy saying that Ola, Uber out, we'll have a desi, taxi wala app. Let's call it taxi wala, or let's call it whatever. Taxi wali for ladies, special app. No, we are a bunch of liars. When I say we, I'm talking about the government and the society also. We get excited. Please remember one thing. If you want to be a great entrepreneur, keep 2 things away: excitement and optimism. बहुत ज्यादा आशावादी होना भी हानिकारक है आपके स्वास्थ्य के लिए और आपके बिजनेस के लिए, और बहुत ज्यादा एक्साइटेड होना, उत्तेजित होना भी बहुत गलत है. तो service areas में lot of opportunity. Manufacturing is a big opportunity, but एक plant इंडिया में डालने के लिए आपको कम से कम एवरेज, मेरे ख्याल से डिलॉइट की एक स्टडी है जो अभी 1 महीने पहले आई है, वो कहते हैं कि इंडिया में कोई भी चीज आप रेफ्रिजरेटर मैन्युफैक्चर करो, ऑटो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करो, कार बनाओ, आप सिगरेट लाइटर बनाओ, आपको प्लांट डालने के लिए कम से कम 29 मंथ्स लगते हैं। यही काम आप कोरिया में 14 महीने में कर सकते हैं, आप यूएस में 9 महीने में कर सकते हैं, और चाइना में तो आप मतलब 7-8 महीने में कर सकते हैं। तो इस देश में परमिशन साइकिल्स हैं, जो लाइसेंसेस हैं, जो करप्शन है, वो एक बड़ा हिंड्रेंस है। आपको अगर प्लांट डालना है और उसको 3 साल लगने वाले हैं, तो फिर आप 3 साल में तो बिजनेस साइकिल टर्न हो जाता है भाई, कोविड आ जाता है, कोई नया इन्फेक्शन आ जाएगा, वी कांट प्रेडिक्ट। नहीं तो बोलेंगे कि 4 घंटे के अंदर तुम्हारी इंडस्ट्री बंद करो, नहीं तो डंडा मारेंगे। So, I mean, this is a lot of opportunities, but
Right, absolutely, sir. So that's the end of the session. I'm sure that once the situation will be actually normal, we will have a few more sessions with you in campus live when the students will be in campus. Thank you so much.
मैडम, जाते जाते जस्ट स्वामी विवेकानंद जी की एक बात मैं शेयर करना चाहूंगा, और एक गुलजार जी की एक विवेकानंद जी ने कहा था कि अपने आप पर भरोसा करिए पहले और फिर भगवान पर, और that you trust yourself first and then have faith in God. Gulzar ji is my favorite creative person on this planet. वो जिस तरह लिखते हैं, जिस तरह बोलते हैं, मेरे ख्याल से उनका कोई तोड़ नहीं है इस प्लैनेट पर। गुलजार जी ने एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग वन लाइन कही है, जो आई इनकाउंटर्ड जस्ट 3 days ago। वो कहते हैं कि जिंदगी हमको सा रे ग म सिखाती है। जिंदगी हमको सा रे ग म सिखाती है, हम इसको सारे गम समझ के जीते हैं। Life is music. Have fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was lovely having you here. Thank you so much.
Your pleasure.
Thank you, sir.